Matthew here from the MiniWarGaming Forge, and I'm not going to walk into that room because we're no longer really in there. I'm going to make a full video about how we've changed rooms and taken over Steve's room, but we'll do that in another video. In this video, I want to show you something really cool that James has actually developed, and you've probably already seen it on our site if you've been there. It's these wargaming scorecards, but I want to show you kind of the process of how he designed them and the iterations that we went through. Because in the end, that's what I want this channel to be about. It's about the process of manufacturing, but also the process of developing products, even something as simple as this. So let's go take a look. All right, let's enter our new room. Say hi, Jeremy.
Hi.
It's Jeremy. We'll talk about him later. Not in this video, though. There's James. So James is the brains behind the new Wargaming Score Tracker. So James, come and join us here. We're going to kind of walk through, and we'll show you some of the digital stuff as well. So James, turns out James has some skills with Blender. And that's what you develop these in. I know people use different tools like ZBrush. And
yep.
That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
3ds Max, Maya.
Yes.
Lots of stuff.
Yes. But James has some background in Blender. Why do you have background in Blender, by the way? Just something you picked up?
Well, Blender's the free one, which is a big bonus.
But that doesn't explain why you have skills in it.
But I have a little bit of video game development. It's what I went to school for. So a little bit of 3D modeling, animation, all that kind of stuff.
I'm finding that is a common trait amongst people who design stuff for 3D printing in the wargaming market, is that a lot of them are previous or current video game developers.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they come from that field. So what we decided that we wanted, who came up with the idea to do this first off? Who was the first? I actually don't remember.
Luca, I think, approached me.
Luca's the one that's like making.
Well, Steve was looking for something like this, and he couldn't find what he was looking for. So I said I would just make him one.
Yeah, and that's when we kind of realized, wait a second, James has skills with a Z, so let's utilize those. So the basic idea behind these is that they're compatible with Warhammer 40K and Age of Sigmar, and they use D10s in these slots and D6s in these ones. And so the first one, as you can see right here, was very basic, and the reason it's D10s is because in Age of Sigmar there's 5 turns. So you get your battle tactic and get a point. You can mark out if you got a battle tactic each turn. But in 40K, you have primary, secondary, and then did you paint your army? That's a kind of a fun little thing because we had 5 there. And because of D10s, you can do it as percentile. So if you got 98 points, there's 98. So you don't have to worry about having a D100 because 2 D10s is a D100. So you can do primary, secondary, and that. And then command points and whatever turn it is. So very basic idea, but elegantly executed. So that was the first design, which we're like, yeah, that's good. So let's pretty it up. So you prettied it up, added all the different words. We weren't quite sure what to do with these spots though, as you can see. And so we thought, well, you know what we should do is we should just make one for each of the types of players. So that's my Dancing Matthew or Old Man Punches Sky, whatever you want to look at it. And you got like Steve's Mountain, we got the Taco Cat and the Mark of Dave. So we got to this point and we were like, okay, that's fine, but they need to have color, obviously. Now at that point, we didn't actually have the printers that could print in color. And so Steve went and painted this from that. It took him a long time though, he said. It took him a lot longer than he thought to pick out the letters and everything. So that's when I thought, well, you know what? Bamboo Labs has the AMS, the something system. Basically here, you know what? Let's just show them for 2 seconds. The AMS is a thing that sits on top of the 3D printer right there that allows you to load up to 4 colors. You can actually link up to 4 of them and do 16 colors, but it seems like overkill, and lets you print in multiple colors. So you can see that right now we're printing other products that are being developed, which maybe we'll talk about. But it can swap the colors out and print in multiple colors, which is really cool. And so we tried it out. Obviously, here's the first iteration of the Dancing Matthew one. We did it orange. We weren't quite happy with the colors, and so we went to black as a base color. And we used a matte black so that you didn't have to worry about that sheen that comes with a lot of them. And then what happened after that, we decided we wanted to make the letters white, right? So we made the letters white, but then I was like, well, why not make the white inside of those? So they made the white inside of those, but that wasn't quite thick enough. You needed more lines, right? So there's more layers, and that ended up with the final product, which I think is pretty handy dandy. Now this one is in 3 colors, but the other ones are in 4, because you have still the MiniWarGaming logo in green, and all the different ones, which is pretty cool. We actually already put this up on the website a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now.
Something like that.
And people have been buying them. We've actually been printing steadily for the past week.
Yeah.
Bamboo Labs was great to supply us with a P1S, with an AMS, with ABCs and DEFs and XYZs. I feel like everything is some sort of 3-letter acronym. FDM with our PLA from Bamboo Labs, which is the BL ink, and they gave us an AMS with the P1S. It was great. They gave us basically a 3D printer with the capability of doing multicolor. And then I bought an extra AMS to go with the X1 carbons. So we have 2 of them now printing. So the idea here is that you can choose, we also provide just the STL. So, another 3-letter, I love it. The 3D printable file, the STL. So you can buy that. So you don't have to, we're not going to force you to get the physical product if you've got a 3D printer at home. But if you don't, we'll print them for you at MiniWarGamingForge.com. And we'll even, if you choose so, you don't have to choose to have the dice. We'll include all the dice necessary. So, for example, for Steve's, you would get 5 D10s that are green, 5 D10s that are white, and then 3 D6s that are his ones, so they actually have the logo on them, and then 2 that are just generic. And that way, on the one side, everything's green, the turn marker, you have all that, and the other side, everything's white. Look out there, look at that. It's great. Really good salesmanship there, Matthew. Okay, but let's look at the computer. So go take a seat, James. So I don't necessarily want this to be a full tutorial on how you made it in Blender, but if you had to tell somebody in 30 seconds kind of the process of making it in Blender, how would you explain it? I'm putting James on the spot here. He doesn't know what I was going to ask him.
Sure. So it's basically just a cube that we've done a little bit of changes to. You got to punch holes for all the dice. You got to punch holes a little bit bigger so the dice fit properly, and then making each of the symbols and the text. Blender has a text tool, so that's very easy to do. And it's just the symbols that take time.
How long do you think it took you to develop this, going through all the iterations? If you had to guess, if you had worked nonstop, how many days of work would it have taken? Like 8-hour days?
I think it was a couple of days. So
Yeah.
maybe 16.
16 hours-ish?
16, yeah.
To go through all the iterations?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not too bad when you think about it. That's a pretty good, like if you think about what 3D printers allow us to do, to go through this quick development with a free program, Blender, which is pretty crazy. And so you're only using free tools that Blender supplies? Because there's a pro version of Blender, right?
I don't think so.
I actually don't know anything about Blender.
No, I don't think there's a pro version. It's an open source software, so.
Oh, is there like pro tools that people sell to?
There are tools that you can get, yeah.
But you didn't use any of those?
Nope, I used all stock.
All stock stuff. Well, that's pretty cool. So then, once you export that as an STL, so printing it obviously in any printer is pretty straightforward, but the Bamboo Labs is neat if you have the AMS installed. So why don't you kind of show us really quickly what that entails. So go ahead.
So you get the standard product. Oops.
So you chose the height here. What we did was make sure that pretty much everything after that, so if you look at it from the side as he shows you that, you'll notice that it's not white all along the side, it's not orange, it's just orange at the top. So that basically it's black all the way up until this layer, then it switches to the colors.
Yep.
Because the more times that you switch colors, the longer it takes to print, because it has to take a lot of time to switch the colors. So you just fill the top of it. And this is all in Bamboo Labs, just like that. Nice and pretty. Now, you had the benefit here of having done it before, so you knew how to grab that height tool and get everything there.
Yeah, that certainly took us a few minutes to figure out when we first got the product. But
Yeah.
quick at it now.
Yeah, pretty quick at it now. And then Bamboo Labs lets you actually tell it. So when you go to slice it, so yeah, slice it first. It goes generating. This whole thing prints like an hour and a half. And then you go to print it, and you can actually tell it which color is which. If you're using actual Bamboo Labs filament, they have sensors on it, so they know what color it is. So you can just, or you can define the color yourself, which is pretty handy. And then you can just send it off. But we're not going to because it's already printing. Cool. So you can get these at MiniWarGamingForge.com. James did a great job with them. And so he's going to be producing other products. Right now, or the next one that's in development, are just some simple measuring widgets. Like this one that has 9-inch, 2-inch, 3-inch, kind of 6-inch, and 1-inch. And then of course the little one. You guys have probably seen these types of widgets before, so we thought, hey, why not make them? Except they're going to be in multicolor. In fact, I think that's what's printing right now, right? Curious how far they are. I think we just started them, so they're not going to be quite ready yet. Probably could have waited to make this video, but I have to go home soon. So yeah, there it is. You can see it working on the big one. And it's just switching the colors out right now. See how it's going back there? Yeah, now it's pooping out the green. Yeah, there we go. So it's actually getting ready to do the top layer. We came over at the perfect time. It was swapping colors. So I like that. So it's working on that. Oh, now it's pushing in white. That's strange. I thought it was switching to green. Not sure what it's doing right now. But you can see it's doing whatever it's doing automatically. And then it starts printing that. And then the other one's printing off the little widgets. And at this point, it's already at the green. It looks messy at first until it prints a few layers. And then they look really good. Oh, and we're doing objective markers too. Just some simple ones at first. 40mm MiniWarGaming ones. So you can expect those on the store. And then what's after that, James?
Bases.
Textured bases. FDM textured bases. So we'll sell the STL files, resin and FDM, but we'll print them for you in FDM because they can FDM printers can actually do a pretty darn good job now. Look at that. That's just a simple cobblestone one. And that's just the very first one. And so they'll actually come with, not this one doesn't show it, but it'll have a hole in the bottom. Actually, yeah, let's grab me that pink one. So they'll have this hole in the bottom, which is a perfect size for a magnet. So you can just magnetize your base just like that. So, and then the resin one will not be filled in like this. It'll be empty because the FDM, you wanted that so that it prints nicely. So yes, we're going to be starting to make textured bases that you can just buy the STLs to, or we'll print them for you, which is pretty gnarly. I'm really excited that I didn't think that we'd be developing our own products this soon, but I didn't know James had these skills when I hired him. So that's quite handy. So that we'll stop there. I'm going to make another video of the behind the scenes of what's going on, like what's Jeremy doing? And what the heck is going on with this room?
Pretty.
And we'll take a look at that soon. But you want to support us, check out this stuff, and go to MiniWarGamingForge.com to buy all of these awesome widgets, STLs or 3D printed for you. Happy wargaming. No, happy 3D printing.